Hello, welcome to this Nick Smart Talk, where I'm going to cover the NFL at 105 years. The NFL season is getting ready to start. A lot of people are getting ready to play the new video game for Madden 27, Caleb Williams on the cover. And so before the season starts, I thought I would create a smart talk just for the upcoming season. I'm a Broncos fan. Enjoy watching the Broncos throughout the years. Of course, the Broncos have won a lot of games, and it's been really entertaining in America watching a lot of different football, different nights, Monday night, Thursday night, holidays. Football is on a lot of the time for practically basically a half of the year. And so, to maybe help subscribers and to provide maybe an opportunity for predictions, predicting records, which team is going to win the Super Bowl. Now's the time to do some predictions if possible. So, as what I've done is I found my awesome book on the NFL, America's Game, NFL at 100, and no longer is it 100, it's 105 to talk about. This book is pretty good. It gives a historical background of the game. Lots of talks about lots of coaches, his big games, uh, really good players throughout the years. And so I decided to basically add some stuff, cover some stuff uh, including this book. Now, with the good, the bad, the ugly, the NFL is always in the news. The good, the bad, the ugly. I kind of NFL at 105. Well, recently the NFL they've had a lot of injury. There's always injuries happening with the game. Apparently, Brett Favre and Amon Green they were teammates. Both of them have been diagnosed with Parkinson's. And so this is not good. There was a study by NFL players. NFL players 4 times more likely to have dementia or Parkinson's um, and die from dementia or Parkinson's because, of course, NFL is kind of a tough game. Can cause a lot of concussions. In the past, players didn't really probably do very well as far as recovering from concussions and head injuries. But so that's maybe not the good news, but it is the two good players who now have Parkinson's, who are going to have to overcome Parkinson's here for the rest of their life is Brett Favre and Mon Green. The bad, if you remember Muhammad Ali, he had Parkinson's, and obviously he did rope a dope. He was in a lot of boxing matches, and he ended up getting Parkinson's probably because of head injuries. And you think, well, maybe that's true, but look at Michael J. Fox as somebody famous who got Parkinson's. Maybe it's genetics too. There's a little bit maybe we're not, people aren't necessarily sure, right? With Michael J. Fox getting Parkinson's, maybe it's not necessarily always head injuries. But there was a study, and it says NFL players 4 times more likely to get dementia or Parkinson's. So, with this in mind, I thought this was a good opportunity maybe to um, talk a little bit about uh, what to do. What is the NFL just going to quit because it's too dangerous? There's too many injuries. Probably not. There has been some news about players demanding to play on grass, and it seems like I can remember players getting injured on grass and turf, but grass is maybe more a better surface, um, not as bad as turf. So, one option in the future and now happening is players and teams are going to grass fields. This helps maybe with concussions. Brett Favre, if you think of Brett Favre, he flopped a lot, he hit the ground a lot, and it's very likely that when he was sacked or he hit the ground, this could easily cause a concussion more so than a head-to-head blow as a quarterback. And so grass fields probably would help um, with players hitting the ground and getting concussions. Uh, Currently, though, the NFL they do less full contact practices. They maybe treat it a little bit more like boxing, where they don't have full contact practices as much. Players they play less. Um, Here, let me find this study here. There is a study here I found regarding recently to July 2026. It says, where is this? Career length affects players with five length of career right there. Um, Players with five or more seasons in the NFL face nearly double the risk of neurodegenerative death compared to those who played fewer seasons. So if you're playing now, if um, or have played, wondering, well, less than 5 years, just play. Don't play more than 5 years is a good option according to this study. There's also new concussion protocols. Be very careful if you're playing. If you do have a concussion, um, take time off. Very important. Um, Interesting enough, I did find somebody who thinks football's good for living longer. Um, it is Mr. Longevity. You may have seen this guy on YouTube. He's called I Am Longevity. He is basically a scientist, and for this video, I'm going to show one of his videos talking about football. And let me see here. Make sure I have audio on. Oops. Okay, so here, let's listen to him. He actually has some is optimistic about football, maybe flag football more than real football. Maybe flag football is really good. So here, let's listen to him for one moment here.
Now, if you stuck with me so far, thank you very much. Let's get into the football training study. You have to realize football practice isn't just about competition or a game or running routes, catching passes. It's actually one of the most powerful full spectrum longevity tools that no one is talking about. It's not even on anybody's radar. Here's what the research says that football training actually can do for you: it lowers blood pressure, reduces body fat, lowers resting heart rate, lowers plasma lipids, that's cholesterol, increases the VO2 max, improves both endurance and muscular strength. It lowers C-reactive protein, enhances DNA repair, improves telomere shortening, and reduces cellular senescence. And it can help with inflammation. It improves bone mineral density, enhances mental health, increases rapid muscle force, that's fast twitch fibers, preserves postural balance, that's proprioception, at the levels similar to those that are 30-year-olds, untrained people. Look, and there's much more in this study. You're welcome to check it out. The link is in the description. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching this video. Maybe you'll get something out of it. I just want to say that what's good about this football training, you can do it at your pace. You don't have to kill yourself. You're not competing. You're training. Remember, you're not playing a game, you're actually training. And that's what I'm doing, training. What it does, it just does, it's an overall body workout that you won't get from weight training or endurance training. It's all in one. So maybe you can incorporate it Start once a week, put it into your regular routine. Don't stop doing anything else, but maybe you can add this. Have fun with your friends. Well, that's what's good about it. You also have fun. You have a good time. Party. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a wonderful day. See you soon in my next.
Okay, so yeah, it's he's talking about the training, not necessarily playing. The training has a lot of benefits. It helps people with their, with their heart rate, gets their heart rate going. A lot of muscles are worked. Speed, it may be a little bit like soccer training as well. But overall, there's just some benefits to the practicing football, and just got to really avoid concussions, head injuries. And so this is one thing that I'm going to talk about um, more regarding NFL football strategy, players, and then I will end with predictions for next year. However, with this with this idea that yeah, football can be healthy for you, just got to avoid some things like maybe play less than 5 years is a good idea, regardless if you're in the NFL, college, or high school. 5 years is a good enough. Uh, if you do make it to the NFL, you've already played college and high school. And if you're in high school or college, this is a good length to look at to see how you risk um, nearly double um, when your career is longer than 5 years. So think about, but there have been players, throughout history who have done good. Joe Namath, Herschel Walker, um, Ozzie Newsome are some famous players. Jim Brown, um, John Elway, Dan Marino, Randy Moss. There are players out there who are living a very fun life and excelled at the game, maybe even played more than 5 years. And you kind of look at them and they weren't, a lot of these players you can look to are role models. They didn't really uh, try to hit people with their helmet. They didn't use their helmet as a weapon. Barry Sanders, for instance, avoided people. Jim Brown, he was one of the bigger players, but again, he didn't necessarily always try to run into people. Herschel Walker, I'm surprised, but Herschel Walker has done very good. And so some defensive players, J.J. Watt, Deion Sanders, Tony Dungy, Luke Kuechly. He quit early, which may be a good thing with Luke Kuechly. Um, and they have so far, there have been examples of players living longer. John Madden played. He didn't necessarily play 5 years, but he had a long career in the NFL. Some though, right? I can go over some players who fared worse. We talked about uh, Brett Favre and Amon Green. Amon Green was super fast. He was like a 4.2, 4.3 40. He played at Nebraska where they had turf. He played in Green Bay where they had grass, but he was super fast. And if you could think about some players who are super fast, um, running really big and fast. That's a lot of velocity. If that Mon Green hitting the ground, that can be self-inflicted. But then Amon Green hitting other players, this is at a very high velocity. I would say one thing you could do if you're so fast like Amon Green, 4.2 blazing speed, you could play baseball instead and make a lot of money by stealing bases. If you're a super fast kid, you should really not, I would say, don't count out baseball. Baseball may be an easy sport for you, where if you're super fast 4.2 speed, they could just, you could bat point 0.1, point 0.2, but you could be a base stealer. They can just put you in designated base runner with certain speed. When you're at a certain speed, it may be better. You may make just as much money or a lot of money by stealing bases. Brett Favre, he got Parkinson's, and I think with him, he was like he flopped a lot. He hit the ground a lot. He played a long time, but if you're playing and you maybe he took a lot of concussions and maybe didn't get out of the game. He was a really, he was really a major player. He had to play for the his team to win. And so I would say if you're a quarterback and you feel like you're in this situation, don't flop. If you get sacked, get sacked. He was maybe he wasn't like a big quarterback, but he maybe flopped a little bit too much where somebody, he tried to get those roughing the passer penalties a little too much, if you ask me. So do not flop. Stand your ground if you're playing QB. Um, Obviously, Muhammad Ali got Parkinson's. Don't do rope a dope. If you This was one of his strategies, and it may have cost him, got him Parkinson's. So don't try to take head injuries. Do not be if you get a head injury, be very cautious these days. Don't uh, do what Muhammad Ali did as a boxer. Um, some other examples, Lawrence Taylor, he may be having more trouble than others in the past, and he did drugs. Maybe you want to stay away from drugs is a good idea instead of doing drugs. Even if you retire from football, the football practice, the training is pretty good. So I would suggest watch Mr. Longevity, keep up the practice of running, sprinting, and stay healthy in general. Don't do drugs. Look at Tommy Romo recently. He was drinking and driving. He's had two back surgeries. What can you suggest for Tony Romo? Well, maybe he shouldn't be drinking alcohol. He should continue to try to stay healthy. Maybe uh, bicycling is a good option for him. Maybe an elliptical machine, running on a treadmill. Pilates, I think, is really good to get your stability in your back and keep your flexibility. So that's what I would suggest for Tony Romo right now. Another example, I think, is Larry Allen. Larry Allen, he was huge, and then instead of being obese his whole life, he took he got the surgery where it lowered his stomach. It made his stomach smaller, and he lost a lot of weight, so he wasn't obese anymore. Obesity is a big problem. If you're obese, you can't do a lot of other things, and so you do see that I think with players after their career's over, they'll lose weight, and I think this is a good idea. Being obese is not a good idea. This can cause you to have an early death sooner than later, maybe not necessarily from a head injury, but a heart attack is more likely when you're overweight. Diabetes, you can also get diabetes for being overweight. So, those are some other examples I've got for you for maybe to help you realize what you can do, what you shouldn't do um, in the future. And so, in doing this, um, one other thing I can talk about is football strategy. In this book, it talks about really good coaches throughout the years. And so, some of them I've saw and would like to notate is one of the oldest coaches who was really good was basically in this book it says he was a strategist. He was George Hollis, one of the first, the Papa Bears. He coached the Bears. George Hollis may be a good coach. One of the first coaches who coached was very successful, but he was known for a strategist. He um, they ran the T formation a lot. I think he made up some different T formations and ended up uh, just their team doing really well. when he designed a little bit different plays out of the T formation. Next generation of coaches in this book um, mentioned after George Hollis was Paul Brown. Paul Brown again was another strategist, innovator of his time. Coached a few teams, was very coached a couple teams, was very successful, but again was a strategist. Tried to innovate the game, having doing different things to new things for the game. Um, let's see here, since we're talking about the book, I'll go over to this. Gemini, I said, summarize this game. Goes in chronological structure. Um, doesn't really say too much here, but I think the coaching in this book was the way it talked about some of the coaching was kind of nice. Of course, this can be done by search and AI. But after Paul Brown, the next one, Vince Lombardi, was also a very successful coach. And while the others were more strategists, Vince Lombardi, he is what he did. He minimized play calling and maximized execution. He thought it was good if they chased perfection, they could catch excellence. And he ran the power sweep. Basically, his favorite play was the power run sweep. But his idea with the game, I think the quarterback called the plays, but his idea was to have less plays and to be better at running them, have better execution. And so he, of course, was very successful with the Green Bay Packers. Next up is Bill Walsh. In this book, the third generation of coaches, I noticed Bill Walsh was in there, and he obviously is a strategist, designed a new offense, West Coast offense with the Bengals as an assistant coach, and then with the 49ers. And he really wanted perfection with his team too. However, they had a whole design, new offense where they passed the ball horizontally. They covered the entire field. His idea was the defense has to cover the entire field. Then it's going to be more difficult for the defense, and the offense is going to do better. And his West Coast offense oftentimes uh, would have passing plays horizontally where there was an option to pass the ball on the right side, left side, middle, uh, et cetera, short, medium, long passes with the West Coast offense. Um, Next generation, finally, fourth generation, all these were kind of, these coaches were more offensively, they won offensively. And finally, fourth generation, it does mention a coach I thought is good, Tony Dungy, who coached the Bucks, was a player. He designed his own defense, Tampa 2 defense with the Bucks and then with the Colts. And he was very successful defensive coach mentioned in this book and did a good job of coaching. Um, was very successful in the NFL. Was the fourth generation basically um, coach I thought was good to mention. Finally, two other coaches not in this book, but maybe um, worth noting is 105. These last 5 years, there has been some innovation. Mike Leach, his air raid offense was has been kind of um, innovative and been popularized by more teams now, more coaches. And air raid offense is a little bit like Vince Lombardi. It's less plays and then more perfection of those plays. Um, I think there's a speech maybe of Mike Leach gives at a conference, and he basically talks about his verticals pass play and how they ran verticals pass play a lot in the air raid offense. And now after coaching it for a while and thinking about it for a while, he thought they should run verticals more times than less times because they could get the timing right. Players get the timing right where they can if they can throw over the defense if it's open. They can throw back shoulder throws if if the player has not beaten the DB, and then they also have other options of running more of a slant route versus a fade route on verticals. Um, and running seam routes based on where the zone, what zone coverage it is. They can change their seam route a little bit to the right or to the left in the middle of the field. And so it's kind of interesting if you do ever search YouTube. There is a Mike Leach speech out there. He's since passed away, but he does have a speech out there where he talks about verticals a lot. It's kind of good. But that's the last coach who's not in this book, maybe because um, it's been 5 years, um, and so he wasn't necessarily included in his success. Maybe more in the college world versus the NFL. However, his influence, I think, has been pretty good, and the NFL has been using the air raid offense a lot more than less. So, um, next up, before I do the predictions, I'm gonna go over the my all smart team. See if I can pull it up here. Starting off with Howie Long, he's a commentator now on TV. A lot of these guys are commentators, but I'm gonna have there's all Madden teams, and John Madden he doesn't do these anymore. And maybe but my preseason, but what I decided to do was do an all smart team. These are very smart players, maybe played more or less 5 years, maybe made the Hall of Fame. But instead of doing an all Madden team, I'm going to do an all smart team. I'm going to say why I think they're smart. Howie Long, he played good, and you can see he's thin. He's not obese. He's not one of those. He starts us off at D tackle. He may have played a little bit nose tackle, but primary defensive tackle, nose tackle. Uh, in the NFL, and since retiring, he's not obese. He stayed healthy in shape. He's also tall. It helps to be big. To make the all smart time, it helps to be one of the bigger players because then you're less likely to get hit in the head. Short players are not necessarily on my it's a little bit more difficult to be short and on the all smart team because it's more if you're short, there's more of a chance you have a concussion or have more head uh, blows. So okay, so let's look at this next player is Mean Joe Green, number 75 with the Steelers. This player also is a D tackle, but I'm not including somebody who's obese. This he was 6'5", maybe 270, and he dropped to 250 when he retired. He's a good example of a player who was very good um, at D tackle, and most likely this helps tackling. If you tackle smaller players, you're not necessarily using your head as a weapon, and so here is Mean Joe Green, my other D tackle. And he could play defensive end, I guess. Howie Long played a little D end. They're very versatile, I guess. My D line are very versatile. Okay, so next up, JJ Watt. JJ Watt is taking the place of Tony Romo. He's going to be on TV more now. But he's big, and he was the NFL player of the defensive player of the year one year, maybe even the player of the year. But he is very big as a DN, and so chances are bigger players they can avoid concussions. I don't think he's noted for ever having a concussion, but he's very healthy. He probably was never over 300, and now that he's retired, he doesn't. He maybe has lost weight as well, so he's not obese. One thing that I'm including these players is not being obese. Finally, Michael Strahan, he is on TV. He seems to have his stuff together. He was always like a low body percentage fat, probably still has a low body percentage fat. Big guy, Giants, 6'5", won Super Bowl, very successful. And I have him here. He may be able to play linebacker, like outside linebacker, on this all smart team. So then I would have Mean Joe Green, Howie Long, and J.J. Watt as my 3D linemen. And then here, this Michael Stram, not necessarily a big deal to put him at outside linebacker or D line, but he's definitely a good pass rusher and has stayed, has a really low body percentage fat, it seems like. So I put him, that's a good muscle pose with the biceps there. Next up, linebackers. So now we're in the linebackers. My middle linebacker is Brian Urlacher. Very good career, very big. He has a good point on this picture, makes a good point for being one of the better linebackers in the history of the game. And he may have even played safety when he was in college. And so I've got him as my middle linebacker, very big guy. It helps to be big guy. When you make tackles, you don't use your head as a weapon. And so on defense, defensive players are more likely to be, in my opinion, bigger guys. And so Urlacher is the middle linebacker. Luke Kuechly is my strong side linebacker. Um, he's kind of a big, fast guy, and he quit early. He thought, you know what? I don't feel great with these head concussions, so he quit early. So he's an example of a smart guy. He quit early. Maybe he played longer than 5 years, but nonetheless, he did decide to retire early, which to me is a good sign of being smart. And so I got him on the team as my strong side linebacker. Um, and then next up, Brian Bosworth, the Boz. He has a good nickname and he seems to have done good. I think when after he retired, he did lose some weight, and he was never really a really big guy. So he's the weak side linebacker in my all smart team, and he just seems like kind of smart. He's been doing good since he retired. And one thing he did was, Bo Jackson wanted to score on him, and this is not a big deal. If he made contact with Bo Jackson, he got ran over almost, but that's better than dipping your head and being paralyzed for life. So I put him on the smart team. He's a good example of being smart. Of when somebody wants to score a touchdown like Bo Jackson, this is very difficult to stop a Bo Jackson. So instead, he did his best. He didn't get hurt. He didn't get a concussion, and uh, game moves on, and he seems to have been very has a very healthy life as a retired football player. He also has number 5'5", which of course may be a good number to have. 5 years and retire early is a good maybe a good thing. Now to the DBs. For the DBs, I got Charles Woodson, number one. To start off, Charles Woodson won the Heisman, and I got him as number one DB. He was very good man cover uh, cornerback and was versatile. He may have played safety a little bit, and so I got him as my number one cornerback uh, who can play man coverage. And this is one thing that I want to point out with these defensive backs is that they're all good at man coverage. Next up, Deion Sanders. I got him in the 49ers. I really thought was a big fan of him with the 49ers. He also liked playing for the Cowboys and the Falcons. Had a long career. However, he's one of the best man-to-man corners. He did play baseball too. This is a good example. If you're fast, you could possibly just play baseball. And so he was a good baseball player as well. Won some Super Bowls though. Played very good as man coverage cornerback. So I've got him as my number two cornerback. Next up, Rod Woodson. Now, Rod Woodson was a cornerback and a safety, and this is kind of what I want to mention to help maybe some of my subscribers or people watch football. In the future and even now, I've seen a tendency for players to play man coverage. In real life, maybe not necessarily in the video game, but in real life, there is going to be a lot more man coverage in the game, and this will help. Um, I think this is better defense, and this is a better idea of playing pass defense. I think there's a, even as a coach, I noticed this with where my league and coaching, the idea was call a zone defense to help teams stop run plays and option plays. As a coach, it was best to call zone plays where the players are in a zone because they can do team tackles a lot better out of a zone pass defense. And then when it is a passing down or more likely a passing play, it was better to call man coverage and even run zero man coverage blitz. Cover zero was very popular in my league where players would have to play man coverage and then have a blitz as well. And this was the best pass defense. You see it a little bit sometimes in the video game and in real life, but in real life, this is going to happen more. Man coverage is going to be more popular. If you think about one example of a player, of a coach who got fired, he was a big zone guy. He coached the Chargers a few years ago. I forget his name, Brandon something, and he got fired. It was just, I know he's an example of what not to do on defense. Don't necessarily play zone to stop the pass. It is better to play man coverage. And so my DBs, um, they are good at man coverage. Rod Woodson, he played safety. Charles Woodson played a little bit of safety, but they both played corner, and they're very good at man coverage. Then finally, Ronnie Lott, another player you would not necessarily expect, but he did play cover man coverage good. He did play cornerback a little bit. And so he's my fourth DB of the All Smart team. Now, after all those players on defense, we're going to go to shift to offense. Okay, next up, offense, I got Jason Kelce. Now, Jason Kelce is, we're unknown, but he's on social media. He played really good, and I think he lost weight since he retired. You're seeing this a lot with these offensive linemen, and I'm talking about them a little bit in that when they play in the game, maybe they play less than 5 years. I think 5 years is a good option for a lot of these linemen, but then they lose weight. They don't weigh 300, they're not 6'3", 300, 6'5", 300. They go and they lose some of this heavy weight that they carry around. It helps with heart disease and it just helps overall health in general. Next up, I got Larry on as an example. I've already mentioned his name once. He's a Hall of Famer, and we all know he was very overweight when he played with the Cowboys. And then when he retired, he got the surgery or whatever, and he had lower weight, lived a happy, healthy life. Apparently, he maybe something happened to him in Mexico, unknown cause in Mexico. Maybe it's a good idea not to take a vacation in Mexico, but at some point, he did travel to Mexico on vacation, and he died in Mexico. So next up, otherwise good story, Larry Allen. He lost a lot of weight. He probably was lived very healthy while once he retired because of his altering surgery of making the stomach a little bit smaller. Next up, Mark Schlereth. He's on TV. He was a good player. He played for the Redskins, Washington, now the Commanders. Number 69. Pretty much all I can see here with Mark Schlereth is he was number 69. And he did play for the Broncos as well, but I'm putting up here on the All Smart team. He started off with was like one of those, Washington is known for having the hog offensive lineman type mentality, but he seems to have done well. Most likely, he weighed more when he was playing and now has since lost some of the weight as an announcer on TV. John Madden, of course, probably was never really a heavyweight when he played, but obviously He didn't play very long, and he didn't weigh very much, and this helped him live a longer life and not have any. He didn't die of Parkinson's or dementia. Next up, Joe Thomas. John Madden, I guess, is a right tackle, maybe. Joe Thomas, left tackle. Joe Thomas is a big guy, didn't use his head as a weapon. And I remember watching some specials of him. He weighed more when he was playing, and he has since lost weight after retiring. And so I've included him as an example of another offensive lineman um, to be on the All Smart team. Next up, Tony Gonzalez. He's on TV. Good example here. He's dunking the basketball. Maybe you want to have a basketball mentality, even if you're playing football. Maybe it isn't so bad to have a basketball mentality, even if you're playing football. He did play quite a lot of years, but he wasn't one of those guys who was trying to run people over. He was dodging people. He was more of a pass catcher, trying to score a touchdown. And now he's on TV and he's done it seems like pretty good for retiring. He has a low. He was never overweight. He's not overweight now, and this is a good sign. So he is the tight end on the All Smart team. Next up, I got this picture of Randy Moss giving us the salute. Again, another tall player, very fast. Unlikely used his head for a weapon, and instead, he's not fun to tackle, but would be very successful. Was a very successful player. Even people now they talk about you've been mossed. He's was very known for being able to catch jump balls like a basketball player, maybe more so than receiver, but he was very fast as well. One option for him maybe because he was really fast could have been baseball stealing bases. Maybe not the best bat swing, but it's possible he maybe was so fast he could have played baseball. Next up, I've got Ed McCaffrey here for the Broncos, another tall receiver. Not necessarily fast, but did not use his head for a helmet. He has recently become a coach, and he seems like he was very successful, won some Super Bowls, and you wouldn't expect him maybe um, to be on the All Smart team, but has since become a coach, and he seems to have done good, very good in Colorado with businesses and being a public figure. So I put him on here. He's a little bit like Randy Moss. Randy Moss is kind of carrying Ed McCaffrey a little bit. They're both tall, fast, had very successful careers. For instance, Ed McCaffrey probably was a good blocker, and so he used his hands and physical receiver. This can help you avoid concussions, it seems like to me. Finally, Jerry Rice. Here we have Jerry Rice, led the NFL in reception yards 6 times. He seems to have done pretty good. Was very much known for his work ethic and his pass route running. Uh, very deceptive speed. And so, because he did so good, and he got some book, the book I had am talking about includes Jerry Rice's advice and information. I've got him as the third receiver. So many teams now use 11 personnel, 3 receivers, 1 tight end. My 3 receiver, I decided I would include him, not necessarily the starter because Randy Moss. It's kind of difficult to be this good. Calvin Johnson is another example I didn't think of who could be on this All Smart team. There may be a few All Smart receivers more than others, but um, one person forgot who could be on here is Calvin Johnson. However, Calvin Johnson, he played on turf. He quit early, which is good, but he still played longer than 5 years. But here, this stat here and the book, I got Jerry Rice as third receivers. I have 3 top receivers. Maybe Ed McCaffrey should be off and Calvin Johnson should be on, but I know Ed McCaffrey's a fairly smart person. He went to Stanford. And so, well, for the first year of doing this all smart team, these are my three receivers and 11 personnel. If I had a fourth receiver, it would be Calvin Johnson to mention right now. But there isn't really four receivers. Instead, now we'll go to running backs. Running backs, number one running back, Barry Sanders. I think he's short, which helps him a little bit get on this team. And that if he falls down, he's not hitting the ground as hard as others. He's very fast. I think he probably could have played baseball out of a lot that I've seen here. He was very fast and maybe what could have been a baseball player as well. Just stealing bases, make as much money. But he did quit early. He was on the Lions. He did play longer than 5 years, but he did retire early also, which makes him um, puts him on the list as a very smart player. And he was never running over players. He was always dodging and ducking and avoiding tackles, which also makes him a smart running back. I'm thinking to be a smart running back, you want to avoid tackles. You don't want to make big hits. Amon Green, he's something you probably don't want to do now or in the future of hitting people hard, running very fast, and then hitting players really, really hard, trying to overrun them. It seems like for Nebraska and for the Packers, he was really a straight runner. And if somebody got in his way, he was just going to run him over. He didn't necessarily always run him over. It seems like a lot of times he would be tackled on first contact, but um, yeah, I'm not really. And Amon Green is taller than Barry Sanders, so I'm putting Barry Sanders all smart team, very good jukes, spin moves, you name it. His highlight reel is very, very good. Then I'm going to put Jim Brown. Now, I didn't see Jim Brown in person. He, though, did very well since retiring. He did good playing. He was a big guy, 6'2", maybe could have been bigger, but he was a big guy for his time. And um, he's done really well since retiring. So I put him on the All Smart team and is maybe a good example of a player who um, really dominated the game during his time and somehow avoided having Parkinson's and dementia. Finally, special teams, punt returner, kick returner, maybe as a receiver, running back, receiving back, third down back. I am putting Marshall Falk here for one more running back. I think it's good maybe in the future to rotate running backs. If one running back gets tired, it's good, or gets hit hard, you want to have another running back ready to go. Marshall Falk is also a good punt returner, kick returner, very fast. Again, another juke and jiver. Can do the spin move, was very good at catching the ball. And so he's my third running back I'm mentioning for the All Smart team. He's done well since retiring also. Um, Finally, quarterback. I'm putting Dan Marino here as quarterback. Very good quarterback, very quick release, very smart guy. Played a lot of years and he's avoided concussions. It seems like he's done good since retiring. Um, and so I've got him as my all smart quarterback. Of course, Peyton Manning. Why is not Peyton Manning the all smart quarterback? Well, Peyton Manning, he did get hurt and then he came back and played, even though with some injuries. And he did good, but I'm not necessarily putting him on the smart team because he maybe should have retired early and didn't. It's a good thing he didn't for the Broncos. But for the all smart team, we're looking for something like Dan Marino, where he's Hall of Fame quarterback, quick release, avoid sacks, avoid concussions, doesn't take off and run with the ball necessarily, because then you open yourself up as a target, can get hit really hard, get tackled. He was maybe more known for throwing the ball away or just throwing the ball in the ground next to the receiver. Just living to play another down seems like Dan Marino's philosophy sometimes. Hall of Fame quarterback. And so he is the final player in my all smart team to make it um, on the all smart team. Um, Hopefully, this list, is maybe a little controversial. There is a lot of players to choose from. This book here, it has like an all star team for every generation, for 4 generations. Um, and of course, I took some players. Most of the players I took are retired and they have been are doing good. Maybe they lost weight. Maybe they've kept exercising, eating right, and have stayed healthy, which is a good idea to make it to the All Smart team at some point. And so finally, I guess finally, we are going to have my predictions. Now, this is my first prediction. This is preseason. The thing with predicting playoff teams, uh, conference winners, conference champions, it's a long time till the season ends, and it's a long time till the Super Bowl. And so there's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of things that can happen uh, over the course, a lot of injuries. We don't know. So this is kind of in general, this is not this I wouldn't expect this to be accurate. As the season progresses, I think my predictions are going to become more accurate and I'm going to do probably halfway season, middle of the season, I'll have another I'll update this list of predictions and then um, when we're almost to the playoffs, I'll do another third prediction, and just so you can see how predictions they work. They become more and more accurate as time gets closer and closer to the end of the season. Predictions become more and more accurate, and Super Bowl pretenders can turn into more Super Bowl contenders. So let's start off with the NFC. There's a lot of news. Who knows? But for me, NFC West, I say the Seahawks repeat. It's going to be close with the Rams. I'm not going to put this up in writing. I'm just going to say it, and maybe the next time I'll have this up in writing. But Rams are going to be close. They'll be a wild card team. 49ers and Cards. 49ers will be third. Cards last place. Doesn't look too very good for the Cards right now. NFC East, I got the Eagles winning. They make a better showing this year, win the conference. Cowboys do better, but they're number two. And then finally, Commanders, and then Giants are last place. Poor Jim Harbaugh. Don't think they're going to be very successful. I really don't like turf teams, so I'm going to put him at fourth place. Jim Harbaugh with the Giants at fourth place. North, NFC North. I've got the Lions winning. I think the Lions will do better this year. They're really stacked. They got Jared Goff, and he's almost done. So there's a little bit more motivation to make the playoffs to win with Jared Goff before he retires. I got the Lions number one, Packers number two, and Packers I got getting the wild card. This is very close conference with the Bears. The Bears have Caleb Williams, but I think Caleb Williams is on Madden. They're going to be jinxed. They're not going to make the playoffs. The Bears are going to not do as well because of the video game. The video game is going to jinx the Bears and the Vikings. The Vikings are just having trouble with their quarterback, and they're not going to get out of the. Maybe the Bears will be last, but I got the Vikings last right now. Finally, the NFC South. These teams aren't very good. It's difficult to say who's going to make it out of the South. However, I think the Bucks will make it as conference champions in a close, with the close records. Maybe they'll be 9-8. Panthers will be 8-9, will be number two. Saints could be 8-9, number two, and Falcons are going to be at the bottom. I don't think Penix or Michael Penix or Tua, whoever is going to be the answer at quarterback, and the Falcons are gonna drop this year to number four. Um, and so you may see I have a tendency to favor grass teams, and so I've got the Bucks and Panthers duking it out really close in the South. Next up, my prediction for AFC. So, and then I'll predict the Super Bowl. For the AFC, the toughest one to decide is the North. A lot of competitive teams in the North. Not sure of what's going to happen with them. But I'm going to guess with Aaron Rodgers, the Steelers are somehow going to make it out of the North. Bengals, Joe Burrow, they got a chance, but the Bengals are just, as an organization, they got to get really lucky. So I'm going with Steelers. They have tradition. Ravens, again, they're going to be, it's really close between the Ravens and Bengals. However, um, they have a new coach, and my guess is the Ravens are not going to make the playoffs. And at some point, they're going to drop in the, these teams, they may start off 7-4 or something with the winning record. But with the Ravens' new coach, at some point they're going to drop off. And then, of course, Browns have a new coach. Not sure what they're doing at quarterback, and they're going to be the last place in the AFC North. They lost Miles Garrett. They're tanking, maybe. It's almost the foregone conclusion. It seems like the Browns are going to be last place. South. AFC South is the next toughest one to predict because they got a lot of young quarterbacks looking to make the playoffs. However, I think I'm gonna go with the Jags. They got their coach, and they got it. They got grass. They got a good organization. They have some tradition with the Jags. Texans number two. It's gonna be maybe close, but the Texans they're not on grass, and haven't heard a lot of good things right now about the quarterback. It's going to be the Jags just seem like they have more momentum. Colts is number three. Again, the Colts they're not on grass. They not sure who the quarterback is, whether the Daniel Jones can be the guy or not. I'm just not seeing it happen with the Colts, and the Titans are going to be last place. They just or have too many missing pieces. They aren't going to make the playoffs. Finally, the East. The AFC East is a little bit more easy to predict with the Pats and Bills at the top. Right now, I'm guessing the Bills have a new coach, and so the Pats will take the conference. The Bills will get the wild card. And then, of course, the Jets and Dolphins will be at the bottom. Maybe the Dolphins will be, they have a new coach, and the Jets have the same coach back. It seems like maybe the Jets have a new coach too. Well, they have some coaching problems to overcome. Um, and so I'm putting the Jets number three, Dolphins number four. Probably Probably wrong. Not sure. Not sure on these two teams. If I was going by a grass turf thing, I would put Dolphins number three because they got the grass and it's funner to play on grass. But I think on this one, I just think maybe the Jets do have a better team than the Dolphins. Finally, and then that's and again as so finally the best for last on this scenario, the AFC West, the best seems like maybe the best conference with the Chiefs, Broncos, Raiders, Chargers. All these teams are wanting to win. The Raiders, of course, are at the bottom. They're not going to be able to. They play on turf. They got a new quarterback. I just don't see them getting a winning record yet. And then the final three, I think the Chiefs. I just don't see championship team with the Chiefs. They didn't do very good last year. They have a quarterback. They have some offense. They play on grass. Is their defense going to be back? Is their defense going to be better than ever? I'm putting them at wild card. I'm not going to give them the conference championship, although they could very well be conference champs. Right now, I'm giving them wild card berth. The Chiefs and the Chargers, I'm saying, even though the Chargers got Mike McDaniel, do you really think Mike McDaniel is the brainchild for Jim Harbaugh? I don't. I don't see the Chargers overcoming the Chiefs. I don't see the Chargers being better than the Chiefs. And so they're three. So I got Raiders four, Chargers three, Chiefs two as a wild card. Very close. The top two teams, very close. Broncos and Chiefs. I'm going to give the Broncos conference championship. Um, they did very good last year and they only gotten better. I'm a Bronco fan. It is what it is. I'm putting the Broncos as conference champs. These two teams may be switched, Broncos and Chiefs. It may be Broncos get wild card berth, but I'm going to put Broncos conference champs. I think as long as barring injuries, they're going to be very good. They play on grass and they have the altitude um, as home field advantage to help them as well. End of predictions. Super Bowl really does it, is this going to be very accurate? This is probably not accurate, but the Rams have Miles Garrett. The Rams have Matthew Stafford back. The Rams have a lot going for them. Even though I got the Seahawks battling the Seahawks, and I have the Rams as a wild card, I'm guessing there's going to be some upsets, and the Rams are going to make it to the Super Bowl. They're my Super Bowl for the NFC team. Who about the Broncos? And this may be one reason why I'm doing this right now, predictions, because I've got the Rams and the Broncos in the Super Bowl. The Broncos are very good. Obviously, last year, if Bo Nix wasn't hurt, they could have maybe took out the Patriots. They maybe not win the Super Bowl against, it may have been the Seahawks beat the Broncos in the Super Bowl, but the Broncos were almost there. And the Broncos are very good. They've reloaded, and I think maybe they will make it to the Super Bowl this year, barring injuries and certain setbacks. But so right now, I got the Broncos Rams in the Super Bowl, and I'm not sure where the Super Bowl is. I think it is in LA. It's going to be tough for both teams. Um, should I predict the winner of the Super Bowl? If I was putting money, the Rams are obviously favored. Broncos, can the Broncos upset them? Well, here, I guess is what I'm going to say is that the Broncos defense, it's going to be really, if the Broncos play the Rams, really one of the most important things is um, can the Broncos secondary, the Broncos cornerbacks play man coverage against the Rams? This is the big question as far as this game. Will Broncos defense be able to play against the Rams? Of course, Matthew Stafford, he isn't scrambling a lot, so if a receiver's not open and the Broncos can blitz and play man coverage, the Broncos will keep it a low scoring game. And then on the other side, Bo Nix, he's kind of mobile. He can kind of run around. Uh, Broncos offense may be able to score enough against the Rams. So we're talking maybe a 24-17 game Broncos win. Good chance Broncos win if their defense can keep it a low scoring game. Even maybe a 14-10 game. Broncos win 14-10. However, if it's a high scoring game, the Rams could easily win. If the Broncos can't play defense, the Rams can easily score 34 points with with their firepower. They got Matthew Stafford. They have a talented offensive coach and receivers. So there's a possibility the Rams could score 30 some points, and the Broncos, they're not going to score 30 points. It doesn't seem like the Broncos will put up 30 points. So um, I'm not going to predict who would win against Broncos Rams, but as what I can predict is scores. Of course, you could probably bet on this in Vegas. You could say, uh, low scoring game, Broncos win. A high scoring game, Rams win. Rams score 30 points. Um, if Rams score 30 points, they win the game. If they can't score more than 20, they lose the game. And the Broncos are pretty predictable. They'll score 20 some points. And so now you know what my predictions are preseason, before even preseason. Because my prediction, it isn't going to change until sometime mid-year. Uh, my predictions, there's no need to update these until about mid-year. So I think I have covered all the things I've wanted to cover. This is an hour. This is a good stopping point. If you have any questions, comments, let me know. Again, if you're wondering if you want to play football less than 5 years and you want to play good, you should probably go to htltsubs.com, type hike more, and get some Turk Builder, either Turk Builder Max, Turk Builder Platinum. Just try the stuff and you will have a lot of energy. You will feel better. You will play better. And yeah, I type hike more. I recommend them. eh, Recommend these supplements. I've used them. They're very good, and they will give you help you run faster, longer, especially in altitude. I've tried this stuff in altitude, and I'm running faster, longer. And so, any questions, comments are welcome. Hopefully, you enjoyed the smart talk, and hopefully, you enjoy the next NFL season.